Hey folks, JD here, and today we've got this. This is the Snaptain H823H. It's a 4-axis quadcopter with a load of features by the look of it as well. So let's open this up and have a little look inside. So what do we got? We've got, I need a little knife or something. As usual, my friends, very well prepared for this. Right, so let's talk a little bit about this quadcopter. So this quad, oh come on, and a bit more. Wow, they really do believe in sticking this side down enough that you can't actually get scissors in there properly. Okay, this quadcopter, you should get about 7 to 8 minutes of flight. It takes about 80 minutes to charge. It's indoor use only, and it's a mini whoop. Haha, and I like those. These are great fun. Right, let's take all this apart. Let's see what we've got in here. Let me just get rid of all of this from the table. Right then. And here's the quad. Look at that. Little mini whoop. Really nice, cute little thing. Battery included. No camera, just an LED in the front for orientation. Shows you which way it flies with these two arrows here. So you're showing me that is the front. I appreciate that. As well as the little on and off button at the back here, which then shows you what colour the LED flashes. And it's almost black light blue. Right, we have, again, this is a cage design. It's set out as such that hopefully the wind is going to be able to travel quite nicely through it. But there's a lot of gaps on the side, gaps on the bottom. So it's not going to funnel the air as such. But it does mean that if you do have some young kids or some accident-prone adults like myself, then this is nicely caged off so your fingers aren't going to be touching those propellers. These are 4 brushed motors. Now you've got a nice little bit at the bottom here of ventilation around all 4 of the motors, just so these motors can actually get a bit of air to them and they're not going to overheat. 4 little landing sprigs underside here, and they are tiny. You're very much going to be hard pushed to see them. They are little dots, not of rubber but of plastic. So hopefully when it lands, it is going to land and it's not going to scrape across the floor. Right, what else have we got? Well, we've got the battery underneath here, which is totally encased. You have got some screws around the outside here, which you can unscrew in order to get access to the battery should you want to. We have the on and off button and the charger port to the back directly. Now this charger port, once plugged in, you have got to ensure that it is plugged in properly. Now I have in the past had a bit of a nightmare with some of these 2-pin sockets of the pins trying to bend, so be very careful when you're connecting the plug into the socket and you are nice and level. Don't angle up or angle down or you're going to bend those pins on the inside. Then you have your on and off button at the back, a slide affair, so you just slide it one way to turn on and slide the other way to turn off. It even tells you which way on the quadcopter back here. Nice striking colours, black and pale blue, looks quite nice indeed. Feels really light. It's a mini whoop. It's going to be light. What do we got in here though? So your flying weight, so your battery included, we're looking at 22 grams. Definitely an indoor flyer. I would say probably not an outdoor flyer unless you are on a very, very still summer's day. Otherwise you are going to lose this if you try and take this out. So that's the quad. Looks nice, feels nice. All in all, I think it's quite sturdy. It's got a little bit of give in the plastic towards the top here. One thing that does bother me is that there is no ventilation for the electronics. So even though the motors have got a ventilation, you may find that the electronics get quite warm. Because at no point at anywhere around this are there any ventilation holes for the electronics to breathe. There's a little bit here for the battery, but the battery is going to be taking the main brunt of that air coming in. There's nothing at the top, see? Totally encased. That concerns me a bit, but I suppose we'll have to see how hot it gets when it charges and once we've flown it, once we have actually flown. Very, very standard transmitter, but they have monogrammed it. That's quite nice. You normally find that a lot of quadcopter manufacturers don't bother with that. This is slightly larger than your standard quadcopter transmitter. Now we have got altitude hold with this quad, as you can see, because the left analog stick just automatically goes back into the center. We have our trim buttons, as well as we have our on and off button, LED status indicator, 360 flip button, as well as headless mode and speed changer buttons as well. Feels quite nice in hand, feels quite chunky, is quite chunky. All in all, I think, as I've said before, with a load of these transmitters, they don't need to be special, they just need to work. And I think this is just going to work because it's very basic. I appreciate that. I often find the more gadgets and more switches they try and add to things, the worse that some things get. So let's just undo the screw at the back here, and then we can look in the battery bay. Inside the battery bay, oh come on you, good God. Inside the battery bay, we've got 3 AAA batteries that need to be inserted into here in order to use this transmitter. This transmitter does not allow USB charging of any sort, so you have got to ensure the batteries inside there are fully charged or shop bought before you take this guy out. Feels quite nice. I think that's going to work and work quite well. So far we've got the quad, we've got our transmitter. What about the accessories? Well, inside the accessory bag we have 4 propellers spare, as well as we have a USB charger, and we have some screws included in a nice bag inside a bag. And I appreciate that, because otherwise you're opening up these bags, all these screws are going everywhere, it's a nightmare. So having a bag inside a bag, I think that's a good move. So let's just put the rest of that in there. There we go. And finally we come down to the manual. Multiple languages, English, Dutch, French, Italian and Spanish inside here, and it goes through everything. Package lists, how to control your quadcopter, what your quadcopter does, how to automatically bind and how to calibrate the gyros, as well as what the features do and how to control it. I like that, very easy to understand, plain English, and I appreciate that. Okay, so let's flicker on, turn on the transmitter. Open and close throttle, standard to bind. Then we're going to use the 1 key takeoff button. Click it once, up she goes. Okay, let's get her nice and level. Let's have a little look. May need a little bit of trim. Let's just trim her out a little bit. Bring her down a little bit. There we go, let's look at that. Okay, looks like she's all trimmed up and ready to go. This is a nice, oh, that blue on that LED on the front. God, that's piercing. This is a nice indoor little copter. Let's give her a little fly and see how she goes. Hello dogs. Little dogs behind the gate there. Don't worry, you can have your living room back in 2 seconds, my darling. Right, so just flying around and just moving this around ever so slowly, just to get some sort of feel for her. And she's one thing that stands out. She flies very, very easily, without there being any need for any. She flies very easy. There's no need to sort of concentrate too much on where she's going, because when she flies around, her arc is extremely small. So therefore, you haven't got to worry about her bumping into walls. And plus, she has got that, what they like to call the anti-collision cage. In other words, what it means is that you can bump into a wall a little bit like this, and the quadcopter doesn't stop, doesn't fly off into any direction. It does just carry on. Now, we have got... Ooh, what did I do there? Did I click 1 key landing, I think? Yeah. Okay, let's land her. 1 key landing works, that's fine. Let's take her back up 1 key again. Up she goes. Let's try her in speed mode 2. Ooh, that's a little bit nippy. She flies quite nice though. She really does. She's quite, you know, she's got that piercing whine that you expect from a tiny whoop, but it's not unbearable. It's really not unbearable. It's quite nice actually. Okay, let's bring it down from those lights, because I know these lights are terribly piercing on this camera. So that works quite well. Speed mode 3, you activate the speed modes by depressing the left thumbstick, and that gives you the different speed modes. So speed mode 3 is a little bit erratic. You can do nice funnels with her though on speed mode 3, pretty quick. Yeah, I like that. I like that. What about... No, I'm trying to see whether we've got any other features here to go through. Doesn't seem like it. I'm trying to see if we've got any sort of 3D flips or anything like that. Doesn't seem so. But you know what? Even though you've got this really nice sort of flight out of her, she just handles so well. I don't think she'd be good outside though. I think outside she'd be a bit of a nightmare, because she is just so incredibly light. But that, you know, that being said, there's nothing wrong with a good indoor flyer. I've got about 6 quads that I use indoors, and whenever there's bad weather, just take her around, a bit of a flight indoors, upstairs, downstairs, you know, and I'm never bored with flying indoors. Because sometimes, let's face it, you have 2 or 3 months where you can't fly outside. But this is nice. This is stable. Altitude hold works extremely well as well. Extremely well. And that blue, good God, that blue is so piercing. Very, very piercing. But look at that. So incredibly stable. Okay, she's fluctuating up and down slightly. I have had the heating on in here, so therefore the barometer is going to be reading, you know, a warmer pressure as she goes higher. But incredibly stable. Now, that battery life as well, because I've had her mostly in speed mode 1, we're going to try and see if we can eke out as much time as possible out of that battery life. I'm guessing, as usual, the LEDs will start to flash, which is something that she hasn't done yet. Let's put her back into speed mode 2, fly her around. Do you have a favourite indoor copter? If you do, let us know what it is. Speed mode 3, whoa, almost like the jaws of death. At that point, oh, I think that's the battery. Yep, LED is flashing and you get sound from the transmitter. You know what? I like that. I like that. You get a little buzzer. I'm going to keep her going. Keep her going. Couple of slow funnels. Maybe it was that last push into speed mode 3 that just dropped the rest of that battery life. She does fly remarkably well. I can see me flying this quite often. Oh, this is nice, folks. Really nice. Indoors, as she's meant to be flown. Outdoors, well, if we get a day which is steady enough, I'll give her a go. But I think she's going to be like the Holy Stone 210 that we did a couple of months ago, where she's going to be an indoor performer and not an outdoor performer. I certainly think that's what she's going to be. Yep, down she goes, automatic landing, there we go. And that's it, that's the battery. Well, all in all, I'm really quite happy with that. A very, very cheap price, indoor whoop, and I like it. What I like about it is that it flies very, very well. There was a little bit of feathering up and down, but I have had the heating on, so I'm going to put that down to me and not down to the quad itself. The flight is very, very nice. The propellers didn't hit any of the cage. There was no ticking. Sometimes you get that really tick, 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 tick. If there's a little bit of plastic has been bent or is slightly off key. Trimmed her up a little bit as she was moving over to the left a bit, so trimmed it to the right, evened her out. Barometer worked extremely well. 3 speed modes. Auto takeoff, auto landing worked as well. This transmitter responded very, very well. Very easy to use. We've seen these time and time again. You know, these things are just, well, they're just as basic as they come, but it does the job. And that's all you need, as I keep on saying with these basic transmitters. You just need something that's going to receive and just going to transmit the signal, and in order for you to relay the controls. And that's exactly what this does. Now, charging on this, charging took 65 minutes to charge. I did have a little bit of charge in it from doing the unboxing, but 65 minutes from probably about 15% up to 100. Not too bad, just standard USB, not powered, just bus powered for that. As for the battery's nice and cool. I did say something in the unboxing about maybe the top here may get warm because there's no room for any sort of breathing of the electronics. Well, it's stone cold, folks, and that's from flying indoors. The motors themselves are cool. The battery is cool, the electronics are cool, so I've got no concerns about flying this indoors. May have some concerns about doing so in the summer, but we'll come back and double check that and see what's happening then. But as for flying, you know, yeah, I got no problem whatsoever with flying that indoors. Stays nice and cool, flies not a bad little battery life. On her as well. That's pretty good. Now let's see if we can get that battery working a bit more powerfully, and let's see if we can get that if we can get a bit more life out of her, a bit more flight time. So there we are, my friends. That is the Snaptain H823H, and yeah, I really like her. There we are, my friends. Thanks ever so much for watching and listening. I've been JD. You've been fantastic as always. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. Hello and welcome to all the new subscribers. I hope you're enjoying the channel. So until next time, my friends, happy flying.